Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to training. I am so grateful for all the work that you all have been doing. We have had an incredible 3 months. If you think about where we were on week one to where we are now, we have come so far. We have a long journey ahead of us, but we should all be very proud of what we've accomplished this far and of how we have made the residents feel in the past 3 months. I just want to tell you all thank you for the incredible work. I want to talk about three things today with you um, in preparation for the rest of this training today. So, the first thing I want to talk a little bit about is the mock survey and the state survey. We had a mock survey a couple of weeks ago, and some of you are new to the world of skilled nursing and a nursing home. So, I want to talk with you a little bit about what a state survey is. Second, I want to talk about some of the successes we have all experienced, more specifically, what you have shared with us regarding your house successes. And then finally, I want to talk about some of the goals that each of your houses have set in some various meetings that you all had a few weeks ago with the nurses, where the nurses had these yellow papers and filled out many of your comments of the goals and suggestions that you all have. So, first, let me start by talking about the state survey process. Once a year, every nursing home in the Commonwealth of Virginia receives a visit from the Department of Health. They send usually 3 state surveyors here to give us a review of how well we do in that snapshot of a 3-day time period when they visit us. They're looking at things like the environment, they're looking at the clinicals, they're looking at medication pass, they're doing chart reviews, they're inspecting our dining program, they're reviewing our training, they're reviewing our policies and procedures. In essence, they're looking at everything that we do as a facility. And then they give us a grade. The grade they're kind of punitive. So there we get what's called a deficiency. So there's kind of different sections to deficiencies. There's A, B, and C, which are minor deficiencies. Then there's D, E, and F. These are potential harm to residents. It's if you continue this way, it may harm somebody. Then there's G, H, and I, which is actual harm to residents. And of course, we're going to completely avoid those because of the care that we all provide to the residents. Um, you know, our goal is to provide the best care that we can to our residents, and you're gonna see more training. You're gonna see, um, Kathy, Charity, myself, many other people going around and giving coaching through the next coming months. And it's not just to prepare for the survey. It's more importantly, it's to make sure we're providing good quality care to the residents. And this is something you're going to see throughout the year, not just during this survey window time. So when these mock surveyors came to do a pretend survey for us a couple of weeks ago, the purpose of that was to highlight some areas that we need to work on. And they helped us prioritize some areas. And if we don't work together as a team to work toward solving some of these big problems, then we're not going to be successful. So some of the things that the training is going to have a little bit later today is going to incorporate these big pieces. So one of the big concerns that these surveyors identified for us was resident safety in the kitchens. They observed some residents going in the kitchens unsupervised. They observed that some knife drawers were unlocked. They observed that the toasters and blenders are frequently plugged in, and if two of you are in a resident room and somebody gets confused and they wander in the kitchen and something bad happened, that's a risk to us. Another big section that they identified was infection control. They talked about infection control when staff are entering and exiting resident rooms. They talked about infection control and handling linens during the med pass, in wound treatments, in donning PPE in a resident's room that's on isolation. They talked about infection control issues that they saw in the kitchens where people didn't wash their hands for more than 5 seconds, or when people put on their gloves and then touch their hairnet. So a lot of things that infection control is a mindset, and we all need to think about touching our pagers and touching our faces and interacting with residents. Don't forget that we have those great hand sanitizers just inside each resident room. Those are never used. They're still almost all full. We had a vendor come out and service them all last week, so they all should be working on the first. Sometimes it takes 2 tries, but those should be working. And if they're not working, please let somebody know so we can get them fixed. Another area that they identified was general nursing procedures. Some of the nurses have already received training on some of these things, but oxygen storage is a big one. We should never have a canister sitting out unless it's in one of the little rollers or in a case on the resident's wheelchair. They talked about catheter bag drainage. They talked about they identified some problems with MedPass safety. So some of those pieces will be followed up at a later time. And then the fourth one is falls. We have had a huge increase in falls since we moved to this new building. To give you a sense, in the original building, we had about 2 falls on average a week, and now we're averaging about 5 falls a week. So there's been a dramatic increase in the number of falls and the frequency of repeated falls. This is due to a new environment. It's due to an increased number of square footage, and it's also due to the workload that you all have, that it's hard for you to do rounds. So there's a lot of pieces to this, and we have to work together to continue to reduce the falls. Again, I'll just emphasize that it's important to get ready for the surveyors, but even more important, these things that we're going to talk about at the trainings today, whether or not the surveyors are coming, we need to do these things to keep our residents safe and happy. So I want to give you a little bit of advice as well while I have your attention about the surveyors, of what to do when a surveyor comes up to talk to you. So a surveyor is mandated to tell you that they are a state surveyor, and they're required to ask a certain number of staff certain types of questions. They're going to ask staff about emergency procedures, about fire evacuation, about intruders, about eloping residents. They're going to ask the staff about who's on thickened beverages. So let me tell you that sometimes it can make a staff member a little nervous when a surveyor comes up to talk to them. They may not know all the answers off the top of their heads. So if a surveyor comes up and talks to you, what you need to do if you don't know the answer is to tell them, I don't know, but I know where to go to find the answer. And then you take the surveyor with you to show them, this is where I would go. So let me give you an example. If a surveyor is asking, what do you do if you notice that a resident has eloped, they're gone, and you don't know where they are?